Elena sat at table 12, smoothing down her emerald dress for the third time. Around her, couples laughed and clinked glasses. The string lights overhead cast a golden glow on happy faces. She checked her phone. No messages from her daughter, Sophia. The babysitter had everything under control. She shouldn't have come alone. Her cousin's wedding was beautiful. The garden venue, the flowers, the music. But watching everyone paired off made her chest tight. 3 years since the divorce. 3 years of building a life for herself and Sophia. She was proud of that. But nights like this reminded her of what she'd lost. Is the seat taken? Elena looked up. A man in a sharp black suit stood beside her, dark eyes warm and curious. He was handsome in an effortless way, maybe a few years older than her 42 years. No, it's empty, she said quietly. He sat down, extending his hand. David Romano. Elena Castellano. His grip was firm but gentle. You look like you'd rather be anywhere else, he said with a slight smile. Elena felt heat rise to her cheeks. Is it that obvious? Only to someone who feels the same way. He leaned back in his chair. My business partner is the groom's uncle. Felt obligated to show up. You, bride's cousin. Same obligation. They shared a smile. Around them, the band started playing a slow song. Couples moved toward the dance floor. David's expression shifted, becoming more serious. He leaned closer and lowered his voice. I noticed you've been sitting alone all evening. People are starting to stare and whisper. I don't know your story, but I recognize that look. The one that says you're tired of being singled out. Elena's breath caught. He'd seen right through her. So here's what I'm thinking, David continued. Pretend I'm your husband tonight, just for a few hours. We'll dance, laugh, make conversation. Give them nothing to whisper about. And tomorrow we go back to being strangers. Elena studied his face. There was kindness there, but also understanding, like he knew what it meant to be alone in a crowd. Why would you do that? She asked. Because I've been where you are. And because sometimes we all need someone in our corner, even if it's just for one night. Something in his voice told her he meant it. She thought of Sophia at home, probably already asleep, her brave little girl who never complained when other kids talked about their dads. Elena had taught her daughter to be strong. Maybe it was time she borrowed some of that strength. Okay, she whispered, just for tonight. David's smile was genuine. He stood and offered his hand. Then may I have this dance, my dear wife? Elena took it, feeling the warmth of his palm against hers. He led her to the dance floor with confidence. Other guests watched them, surprise flickering across their faces. Elena recognized her Aunt Margaret, who'd spent the cocktail hour asking pointed questions about why she came alone. David's hand settled on her waist, proper and respectful. They swayed to the music. You're good at this, Elena said. My mother insisted on dance lessons when I was young. Said a man should know how to lead properly. His eyes crinkled at the corners. She was a wise woman. She passed 5 years ago. Cancer. I'm sorry. Thank you. She taught me that kindness costs nothing but means everything. He spun her gently. Is that why you're here alone? If you don't mind me asking. Elena hesitated, then decided honesty deserved honesty. Divorced 3 years ago. I have a daughter, Sophia. She's 9. My ex-husband remarried last year. Brought his new wife to every family event until people just expected me to do the same. Show up with someone. Prove I'd moved on. But moving on doesn't mean replacing, David said softly. Exactly. Elena felt tears prick her eyes. I've been so focused on giving Sophia stability, on building my career, on just surviving each day. Dating felt impossible. But then nights like this happen, and I feel like I'm failing some tests I didn't know I was taking. The song ended. David didn't let go immediately. You're not failing anything, he said. You're succeeding at what matters most. Everything else is just noise. They returned to their table. David poured her wine, asked about Sophia, listened intently as Elena described her daughter's love of painting and science. He told her about his company, a mid-sized firm that produced sustainable packaging. His passion for the work was evident. I threw myself into it after my mother died, he admitted, partly to honor her memory, partly to avoid dealing with the grief. My sister finally sat me down last year and told me I was turning into a robot. All work, no life. What did you do? Started saying yes to things I'd usually skip, like weddings where I barely know anyone. He gave her a meaningful look. Sometimes the best moments come from the obligations we dread. Elena's cousin approached their table, eyes wide with curiosity. Elena, I didn't know you were bringing someone. David, this is my cousin Rachel. Rachel, David. He stood smoothly, shaking Rachel's hand. Congratulations on your wedding. Everything is beautiful. Thank you. How long have you two been together? Elena froze, but David didn't miss a beat. We've known each other a while, but we keep things quiet. Elena values her privacy, especially with her daughter to think about. Rachel nodded knowingly. Of course, of course. Well, I'm so glad you could both make it. As she walked away, Elena let out a breath. You're a natural at this. I've sat through enough corporate dinners to know how to handle nosy questions. He winked. Ready for round two? The evening unfolded like a dream. They danced 3 more times. Shared dessert. David made her laugh with stories from his early business days, the mistakes and small victories. Elena found herself opening up about her fears for Sophia, her hope that her daughter would grow up knowing she was enough just as she was. She will, David assured her, because she has you. Near the end of reception, they stood by the garden's edge, away from the crowd. The fairy lights twinkled overhead. Thank you, Elena said. You didn't have to do this. I wanted to. David turned to face her. Can I tell you something? I came here tonight feeling sorry for myself. Another event alone. Another reminder that I've let years slip by without building anything real outside of work. But meeting you reminded me that there are good people out there. People worth taking chances for. David, I'm not asking for anything, he said quickly. I know this was just for tonight, but I'd like to see you again. Coffee, maybe? No pressure, no expectations. Just 2 people who understand what it's like to rebuild a life. Elena's heart raced. She thought of Sophia, of the careful walls she'd built, of all the reasons to say no. Then she thought of this man who'd seen her struggling and offered kindness without conditions. I'd like that, she said. They exchanged numbers as the evening wound down. David walked at her car. Drive safe, he said. You too. Elena drove home with a lightness she hadn't felt in years. The babysitter reported Sophia had gone to bed without fuss. Elena checked on her daughter, watching her sleep peacefully. Maybe moving forward didn't mean forgetting the past. Maybe it just meant opening the door when kindness knocked. 3 weeks later, Elena and David met for coffee, then dinner, then a walk in the park with Sophia, who declared him pretty nice for a grown-up. They took things slow, building friendship first. David understood her priorities. He never pushed. 6 months after the wedding, on a quiet Sunday afternoon, David taught Sophia how to fold origami cranes while Elena made lunch. Watching them laugh together, she realized something profound. Love wasn't about filling empty spaces. It was about finding someone who appreciated the fullness you created on your own. Sometimes the best things begin with a simple act of kindness between strangers. Sometimes pretending for one night shows you what's real. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales of hope and second chances. Leave a comment telling us about a moment when a stranger's kindness changed your day.